It's Saturday, and you know what that means. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Stan Hansen Saturday. This is episode number 9. And this week, we look back at Stan Hansen battling Hulk Hogan from the April 13th, 1990 WWF All Japan Pro Wrestling New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestling Summit at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. This was the main event of the show, but originally Hulk Hogan was supposed to wrestle Terry Gordy, but plans changed and Stan Hansen replaced Gordy. So apparently Gordy didn't want to do the job for Hogan because he felt that the match being in Japan, it would hurt him career-wise, since the majority of Gordy's work during that time was in Japan. Hansen, on the other hand, was willing to do the right thing for business, and in some ways this ended up helping him in Japan. They show some scenes backstage of Hulk Hogan preparing for the match, kind of getting himself psyched up for the match. Stan Hansen charges into the ring and knocks down the ring announcer, which was very awesome. But the announcer, to his credit, gets back up and does do the introductions. Crowd erupts for Hogan's entrance. Bell rings and the crowd is really loud for this match. So the match begins with Hogan slapping Hansen, and then Hansen just counters with his slap of his own. The Hulkster with a single leg takedown to begin the match, which this was one thing you would get from Hulk Hogan during that time. If you were watching most of his work while he was in WWF, he was basically he didn't do a lot of mat wrestling or do any leg takedowns. It was mostly just a brawling type of match. But in Japan, he would always try to do something a little more technical. As soon as he does the leg takedown, Hansen gets back up and shoves Hogan into the corner. Hansen goes after Hogan's left arm with an elbow. Hogan with another single leg takedown, showing us his technical wizardry. Hansen reverses the Hogan hold into a cradle. Some hard hits are exchanged between the two. Chops from Hansen, punches and kicks from Hogan. Hansen tosses Hogan to the outside and follows. Hogan reverses Hansen's attempt to slam his head into the ring post, and instead Hansen gets his head slammed into the ring post. Hogan then slams Hansen's head on some of the equipment ringside and continues to punch at his head. Hogan rolls Hansen back to the ring and follows that up with a backdrop where he ends up getting a 2 count. He punches at the now bloody Stan Hansen. Hogan kicks Hansen to the floor once again. Hogan then tosses him back into the ring and continues his attack. Just a back and forth where Hogan would just toss Hansen back to the outside, then go back and bring him back in. Hogan gets Hansen in an abdominal stretch. Hansen is able to escape with a hip toss, but Hogan is quickly back up on his feet and continues his attack with some more hard chops in the corner. Hogan punches Hansen out of the ring. Another punch sends Hansen into the ringside tables. Hogan then slams Hansen onto a table. Early in the match, it's all Hulk Hogan on offense. Hogan gets the crowd going as he returns to the ring, but he quickly goes back to the outside and sends Hansen head first into the ring post. Hogan then tosses Hansen back into the ring and gets a 2 count. Quickly gets a 2 count. Basically, whenever he would throw him back in, he would try to get a pin attempt on Hansen. Hogan then complains that it was a slow count. Hogan whips Hansen into the corner and gets him with a clothesline. He kicks away at Hansen and more chops from Hogan as he just continues to attack Stan Hansen. Hogan then whips Hansen into the corner and charges at him, but Hansen catches him with a kick, and then Hansen charges into Hogan and with a shoulder tackle to take Hogan down to the mat. Hansen quickly goes for the pin, but only gets a 2 count. They both end up going back to the outside. Hansen tosses Hogan into the tables. He whacks Hogan across the head with a chair. Hansen dives onto Hogan in the ringside area where tables are around them. Now Hogan is bleeding. Hansen then tosses Hogan back into the ring and quickly goes for an elbow drop. You get a shot of Hogan's face, which is now a crimson mask. And Hansen just continues with more elbows at Hogan across his forehead and just kept going at him nonstop. A knee left from Hansen and he punches Hogan's face and kicks him down again. Another near fall by Hansen. They head to the outside again and Hogan grabs Stan Hansen's rope and uses it on him, but Hansen takes it away and whips Hogan with it. They get back into the ring and Hansen gets him with more punches followed by some knee drops. Hansen motions to the crowd for that he's going to go for the lariat. Hansen whips Hogan into the ropes, but Hogan gets him with a double axe handle. More kind of a double axe handle elbow looking type of move. Hogan hits the ropes and as he's going to go for a leg drop, but he ends up missing it. Hansen gets back up and goes for the pin, but only gets the 2 count. Hansen then whips Hogan into the ropes, but Hogan goes for a flying body attack onto Hansen and gets another 2 count. Crowd is really into the match now. Hogan holds onto the ropes as Hansen tries to go for a pin attempt. Hansen then charges at Hogan, but Hogan kicks him and then follows with a clothesline and gets the pin on Stan Hansen. This was actually a pretty short match. It only went about 12-13 minutes. But it was pretty good. It had a lot of good heat from the crowd. The fans were very much into it. As soon as it's over, Hansen leaves. Hogan closes things out by doing some poses for the fans as the Real American is being played. I thought this was a good match, like I said, and for as short as it was, they pretty much packed in as much action as they possibly could. They both bled. Hansen sold a lot for Hogan for the early part of the match, which, for a guy like him at this level, you could tell. And, I think that also helped the fact that he did that and made his comeback late in the match and eventually lost. It really won him I think it won the fans over for him because there was always that possibility that Hogan was going to stand out as the big star, given that he was such a huge star at that point in time. And then being there in Japan, I think this might have been one of Hogan's first matches back to Japan in a while. So that was actually a pretty significant deal for them. And, the politics behind it obviously would have been interesting to have seen Hogan versus Gordy. But there's I think more so because Gordy was at that point in time was kind of like that wild brawler that everybody kind of viewed as the next big star. But I think Hansen was a huge star at that point in time also. So, there was no real big loss in changing opponents for Hogan. And it was a fun and good match. So overall, I'd say I recommend watching this. Also, in the entire show, I think there's several matches from this show that are available. They might be on YouTube. I know they aired on the TV version for All Japan, and then there was the Samurai TV version that also aired. But I think there might even be some of this stuff in the network, in the WWE network. But for sure, I do recommend watching this match and watching the show itself, just because it's involving 3 promotions that at that point in time weren't really working together, and so you get something a very different type of show, considering it was 1990. Be sure to subscribe to the Retro Wrestling YouTube channel, and remember, every Saturday we celebrate by recapping a Stan Hansen match.